Squelch, 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 squelch.
Welcome back to Squelch, the video game book club. I'm Dano.
I'm Man-at-Arms.
And I'm Storm Rage, and we're here to remind everyone that Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a game, and games are supposed to be fun.
This week, we are playing through the introduction of the game through the Flying Waters area. Next week, we are going to play the Ancient Sanctuary, Gestral Village, Esquie's Nest, the Gestral Village. Is it Gestral or Gestral?
Gestral, I believe.
I think it's Gestral. I keep on
Gestral.
getting that wrong. Gestral's Village, Esquie's Nest, and the Stone Wall Cliffs. So,
Is it really Esquie, not Esquire?
Esquie. Yep, Esquie. It might have been
Man,
spelled,
this game is French.
It might have spell checked to Esquire, but they pronounce it Esquie. Esquie's Nest. Yeah, because I played through Esquie's Nest, so I can remember how to say Esquie.
Nice.
I can't remember if it's Gestral or Gestral. I think it's Gestral. They say it a million times, and I read it in my head one way, and they say it a different way, and I just can't get it figured out. This game has been great. Let's go ahead and get started. Start some thank some patrons, and then jump in.
Thanks. I am pretty incredible.
Thank.
Hey, thank you, patrons and Twitch subs. Your support keeps our podcast ticking. We support and love you very much. Thank you very much for all this. And yeah, if you want to support the show, go over to twitch.tv/DanoPlay or patreon.com/Squelch. We appreciate and love each and every one of you and just our listeners in general. No lore this week. We're going to get into our cast of characters, then we'll break them all down starting next week. So we're just going to head right into the Expedition 33 recap, unless you guys have something to say about that.
Nope.
Awesome. Let's go ahead and do it then.
For those who come after.
That's all I've got. I figured that's all. For those who come after, I kind of figured that was just what to do. I don't know. I couldn't think of anything better. So if you have an idea,
I think it's good.
Yeah, great. You want to get started here, Storm Rage?
Yeah, one of the things that I think is interesting about this game and about this recap is I'm going to introduce a lot of words and terms and things and not provide a lot of definitions because we don't have definitions yet for many of these things. They are introduced and then we kind of find little things along the way. So I will present them as much as I can in the way that they are also explained, because a lot of this game is introduction of thing, meet thing, explain thing much later on, which draws for some interesting story, but does make, admittedly, recapping it a little on the quirkier side. So, we begin in the town of Lumiere. We stand in a garden looking at a rose on a bench, and a young woman asks if we're planning on giving it to her. The camera pans out and shows our main character, Gustav, who appears to be 32, and his left arm has been replaced with a mechanical arm. The woman he's talking to is, I believe by my calculations, 18, and is named Maëlle.
Maëlle is 16.
16?
Pretty sure she's 16. They say it later on in the game, I think.
Ha!
She's 16.
Because what?
I'm pretty sure they say later on in the game that she's 16 years old.
Interesting. That math doesn't check out then, because they, for reasons that we'll get into later, they say that the gommage for her is not for 8 years, which would make her 18.
Okay. I don't know.
Am I mathing?
I have no idea
Maybe
if you're
not.
mathing correct. The gommage math is very confusing to me, and I don't understand it. And so, but I think they say, or they at least draw parallels to another 16-year-old, I believe, later in the game. So I could be wrong about that. Matt, Google it, I'm guessing. What is it, Matt?
Yeah, 16.
So she's 16 because the 8 years that her Gromage will happen in 8 years after this Gromage.
Gomage.
So it keeps counting down, Gromage. It keeps counting down so that she'll meet at like when it's like 24, 25.
Cat. So she
we explained way too much already, but it's fine.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. She's young. And she is very much a like younger sister to this character. Younger sister / surrogate daughter. It's a little unclear, but she is certainly younger. The vibe of this entire city is French modern steampunk is the best description that I have of there are things that are like very modern and normal. There are things that are like randomly steampunk, and there are so many things that are incredibly delightfully French. Matt.
Also impressionist. There's impressionist around the edges. It's beautiful. It's absolutely stunning what it is. It's gorgeous.
Yeah. I turned that off because I found it to be very distracting. So it's like a painting effect that the game has that you can turn off. And I turned it off. Like as soon as I figured out I could turn it off because I thought the game looked much better without it. It was like a neat thing, but I was like after about 15 minutes, I was like, nope, not doing this.
Yeah, that is fair. We end up walking through the city as we're talking with Mael, who is teasing us about giving a flower to a woman named Sophie that we used to be ex-lovers with, but have broken things off for at least a handful of years. We run through the rooftops and use our special arm and what seems to be magic to grapple from rooftop to rooftop. Mael asks us for a quick duel as we are introduced to the basics of the combat system. The combat system itself is pretty interesting. It is, in a sense, turn-based, much like a traditional JRPG. So you will select either attack or skill or free shot or item usage. Then, based on the thing that you have chosen to use, there will be various quick time events asking you to hit a certain button within a certain time frame window on both attacking and on defense. So if a character is attacking you, you have the option to dodge, which has a pretty graceful timing window once you kind of understand it. And if you do a normal dodge, you don't take any damage. If you do a perfect dodge, you get a benefit of additional action points. You can also choose to parry. Parry has a much tighter window. It is much more difficult to do, but if you successfully parry, then you will automatically counterattack. So it is hypothetically possible, I would imagine, to go this entire game without getting hit once. At least I think I have not achieved that. I've gotten hit a lot. I'm bad at this game, but it's very fun. Those are the very basics of the combat system, and each character has kind of unique traits or unique aspects that kind of evolve that combat system for their own certain character class. Dano.
So with specifically like the quick time moment. So when you're attacking, the game will say, okay, press this button now. And then you have like a period of time to hit that button. And then there's like the perfect time, which is like the last increment before you miss it. So you need to hit A within a certain increment to be successful. And then you can also be perfect to get bonus damage done. When you're dodging or parrying, the game does not tell you when to do that. You have to like infer from the attacks when to actually do the dodge or the parry. So I want to be clear about that the game tells you when you're attacking, when to kind of when to hit the button, but when you're dodging or parrying, you have to infer that. And typically you're looking for when the enemy, the bad guy, is starting its swing down. When it's starting to do the attack animation. Now, some of them will do feints, so it'll be like feint, hit, or it'll have different combo attacks where it'll hit, or they'll do a spin. So each one is kind of different, and you have to kind of learn the cadence of it to get the dodges and the parries correct. But the dodging is pretty. You can dodge fairly easy once you get the cadence down, but parrying can be super touchy and tough to read. Yep. And it is kind of cinematic as well. So you are like, it can be kind of tough to gauge when you're trying to like parry or dodge the further something is away, because it just kind of comes at you close, like faster than you might expect or something like that. And so it is a really interesting system. I've really loved it so far, for sure.
I do too. I think it's super fun. We continue to walk through the city, and it is modern, but it's also covered in what looks like this living material. My best description of it is, what if sludge was like 1% sentient? Like, there's a glow, there's a life about it that is difficult to describe, but otherwise, the city itself looks just very French, like a typical city you might find just outside of Paris. Matt, did you have a thing?
Yeah, like also you notice a guy like kind of on your like early on mining the sludge off out of the ground before you get into the main public area where everybody's standing. It's kind of weird. Like he's putting it in a wheelbarrow. It's I don't know.
There's a lot of kind of weird things just everywhere around here.
Yeah.
We eventually make our way to the town square, where we see that the square is absolutely covered in roses. There are a handful of other people all handing out or selling roses. Sophie, the woman that we have come here for, thanks us for the flower and asks if we want to walk down to the harbor together, where everyone is gathering. There's a lot of discussion about the gommage, with very little specifics given, other than it is a somber event based on the way that people are talking about it. And individuals that are seemingly participating in the gommage are being given a number of flowers, and specifically rose petals. As we walk down the harbor, there's an island off in the distance with a bright 34 on what seems to be a large tree several miles off. At which point, you two have both written something here. Would you like to go ahead and go?
Yeah, the gommage is French for to erase or to scrub. So
Pretty sure it's wrong. Gommage is actually an anagram for Logan's Run.
Dano, I don't get that joke.
So it's an anagram for Logan's Run. So the letters.
Yeah,
in
I know what an
Logan's
anagram
Run,
is.
The letters in Logan's Run are the same as gommage. LOGANSRUN Logan's Run is an old movie, Storm Rage, where they die at 30.
Thank you. Great, that's what I needed to know. I didn't know what it was referencing. I just knew something was there.
I know. I figured that's what you wanted, but I wasn't going to give it to you that easily. I wanted to make you
heaven
earn it.
forbid you be helpful.
It's a fantastic movie from the 70s. You really should watch it. It truly is great. It's great. So like the plot is when they turn 30, they have to go and they get basically recycled, but they're going to be brought back to life. And so, because utopia, that's not a utopia at all, but a dystopia. It's great. It's truly wonderful. It's a classic sci-fi movie. Highly recommend. So
Great.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Wonderful. And then Matt, you actually told us what it actually is, right?
Yeah, it's the actual definition.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. Thank you, Dano. We can talk with Sophie and with a few other townsfolk about how they're feeling, and there's this sense of kind of dread in the air. We also learn that Gustav is part of the expedition, and that there are some booths that are still recruiting folks for the upcoming expedition. As we make our way to the harbor, Sophie mentions that she feels pity for the paintress and questions on whether or not the paintress is also sad because she seems to be stuck in this loop and maybe she doesn't have any other choice. What that means, we've no idea. There is a mention of the fracture and questions about if other humans have survived it. Again, we don't know what this is. There are mentions of lumens and chroma and nubbins, but none of these are explained yet. They're all just slightly introduced here. We make our way down as Gustav professes his love one last time for Sophie. A massive figure on the island moves around the water and clears the giant 34 and replaces it with a 33 before this figure, which we can deduce is the paintress, settles back down into a pose and is now motionless. Gustav looks at Sophie and both have tears in their eye. Nearly everyone on the harbor explodes into roses. Everyone 33 or older is gone in a collection of petals. Gustav looks at Sophie one last time before she begins to transform. The implication here is that the number, that's the oldest someone can be. It's been counting down from 100 as more and more fall victim to the gommage. The expedition, well, that's a group of townsfolk who every single year try and kill the paintress. Only one expedition in history has ever survived, but none have come close to succeeding as far as we are aware. We cut to a party later that night of the expeditioners gathering and partying before heading out tomorrow. Gustav's sister comes to the gathering and asks Gustav to stay. She begs Gustav to convince Maëlle to stay because she has 8 years until her gommage, so she doesn't need to leave just yet. Gustav says that there is nothing to be done to try to convince her to stay. Eventually, Gustav's sister agrees, and she leaves the expedition to their own wills. We meet a handful of folks from the expedition, and hopes are high that this will be the expedition that succeeds. Gustav's sister gives a speech about how proud she is and how successful they are going to be. All expeditioners gather onto their ships and head out for the island. Yeah, you want to talk about this introduction here?
Yeah, one quick clarification about Maëlle. So Maëlle is not, so she's like the adopted sister to a certain extent of Gustav and his sister. So they're actually blood. Whereas Maëlle Gustav is the guardian of Maëlle. We're supposed to assume that her parents, or we do assume that her parents died in the gommage. And so like they go into a lot, this whole opening scene, you see a lot of children who are with parents or being taken aside because their parents are going to gommage this year. And it's very sad. It's played off to be very sad. There's very sad music, and it is very sad. It's truly a tragic, awful, sad thing. One of the things that Sophie and Gustav broke up about was one of them didn't want to have children. They don't say which one, but one of them didn't want to have children, and that's kind of what broke them up in the end because of the gommage. But Maëlle is the guardian of or Gustav is the guardian of Maëlle, so that's important in the game. And
another thing to like clarify here, because I know people might hear 32-year-old man, 16-year-old girl. Genuinely, at this point in the game, as far as I'm aware of, just a wholesome relationship. Just a good, wholesome, healthy father-daughter relationship in which they both care about each other greatly, and there is not even a single undertone of attraction between the two of them. It is, like, genuinely very heartwarming.
I read this situation way wrong in the opening sequence, and I'm going to talk about that in the not-so-good, because it kind of came off a little Folgers coffee commercial for a moment there, but very quickly became very platonic and remains very platonic and protector and child type of situation. But it was just that brief moment at the very beginning where like it was probably me just kind of reading it wrong than it was how it was presented. But I'll talk about that when we get to it.
Yep.
Did you guys talk to the lady carving the statue?
I don't think so.
Yes.
So there was a lady carving a Neveron statue, and she was disappointed that nobody cared that she was carving the statue. And we had the choice. We could either tell her to carve a scarier Neveron or to paint the one she currently made. Do you remember what you did, Matt?
I told her to paint the one she made.
I told her to carve a new one. I don't know what that decision is going to be or if it will be anything. I'm going to assume it's going to come into play later because we actually run into painted Neverons later in the game. So like I've been wondering if we tell her to paint it, is it friendly? And if we tell her to build a scarier one, do we get like a crazy boss or something later? I can't wait. I can't wait to find out what happens with that. But yeah, it's I hope it's something at least. I have to imagine it is the way this game goes. Like nothing seems to be just kind of like done randomly. So
yeah, everything's great. This opening sequence, I kind of knew. The only thing that I knew about this game going in was the premise of, and once you hit a certain age, then you die. That's the only thing that I knew about this game. And I was like, okay, great. That's like, I assume one of the very first things. And even still knowing that, watching everybody explode into rose petals and the way that they slow burn it, they never outright tell you this is exactly what the gommage is. You just imply it because you see it happen. And there's a lot of showing versus telling. It's not the gommage. This is the history of the gommage. It is, we are going to show you what the gommage is. and people will talk about it as though they've been experiencing it their entire lives because they have. And it's really, really wonderful storytelling. The music swells at a perfect moment. It's like this eeriness of trying to be confident and calm when you know something terrible is on the horizon. It's just really well done.
Yeah. I had no idea what this game was about before starting the game. Like, I didn't look up anything of it, didn't watch anything about it, and I didn't even like know it was a game that was going to be made until people loved the game. And so this, like, you kind of figure out what was going on when you were talking through context clues and that kind of stuff. But then when it actually happens, it was quite jarring and really well done. And it was great. And then the party scene afterwards, and like meeting Gustav's apprentices, which are like 3 children who like he took under his wing, which are, by the way, the 3 they built his arm. So like,
I did not know that.
Later on that his apprentices, like in a camp scene, that his apprentices actually the ones who built his arm. So yeah, that's a thing. But we're also led to understand that Lumiere is an island. So it's definitely French. It's definitely Paris. You can see the Eiffel Tower in the background in one scene, but it's like kind of melted almost. It's really weird. It's impressionistic again, right? It's kind of like just, it's like tilting over.
Yeah.
It's a little strange.
There's some Monet, there's some Dali influence, there's some stuff going on.
But that it is also an island, and so in order to go, they go to the continent in quotes, which is where the expedition is going to confront the Paintress. So Lumiere is separated from the Nevrons, which are the monsters that were created by the Paintress, which we get to fight, and then but the island is, I believe, mostly or completely safe from the Nevrons, from at least what we can tell.
Yeah,
from
there
right
is. There seems to be a barrier, whether it was constructed intentionally or by accident, that is maintained by the townsfolk in there that keeps these Nevrons and these monsters out.
A mystery to solve. All right,
Exactly.
Matt, can you talk about the next portion of the game?
All right, so we get on the boats, we get off the boats, and we land on a dark beach of the island, and we step foot to see an old man in a suit and cane walking towards the expedition menacingly. As more people get off the boat, Alan, who's I guess the leader at this time, asks how he survives the grammage, and suddenly old man strikes and decapitates Alan, and it's in slow motion. It's like a flash, slow motion, everybody has shocked face, and you see Alan's head just like fall to the ground. Someone yells fall back as explosions rock the expedition. Ensuing battle, there's chaos, and we watch expedition members get picked off one by one in absolutely brutal ways. Gufas is struck by a Nevron that can just be described as hands, like just hands sticking out of a body. It's very strange, and it glows, and he gets knocked out by that, and we fade into Act 1.
Holy cow. This whole section was insane. I knew going into it, I was like, okay, there's going to be some pretty intense choices here. And I knew that the opening was intense. Like, people had told me the opening is intense. And I thought it was the scene before where everybody gets rose-petaled. And then all of a sudden, it's everybody. Like, every single person that we see gets just destroyed. All of a sudden, this fighting force of like 30 or 40 or 50, it's not super clear, I would guess 30-ish, just gets wrecked in moments. And does all their training, all of their prep, everything's gone. And I stood agape at the end of this scene. And the mystery of who this old man is, how is he still alive if he is old? Is he actually a Nevron? Who is he? Is such an interesting question that we have no additional details about right now, and I'm fascinated.
So this scene starts with them they're caught surprised, they're caught off guard by the violence of the old man, because he's human, who he presents as human at least. And they're like, oh my gosh.
Yes.
You're human. You're old. and then like he just like lightsabers them all. Like I don't know how, or like a giant laser, and just like cuts through all of them with like just a giant lightsaber. I felt like his. Maybe I was just assuming this, but I thought his suit looked like an expedition uniform. That's what I thought it
It
looked
did.
like.
Yes, I also thought this.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it read to me as an expedition uniform.
yeah, and so he just absolutely wipes him out. Now, what I thought was really, really interesting about this, so Gustav and they all were attacked, and they were all screaming for help, including Mael and others, and Gustav just froze solid, and didn't run to help, just kind of stood there, just completely stunned in shock, and then got hit by a Nevron, knocked unconscious, and left for dead. So he didn't like hero his way to help anybody. It was just like, and what was also interesting about this, so Lune, that's another character we're gonna meet later, but Lune, she's someone we talked to on the island, and she says that she was the one who picked out this location because this was the spot where Expedition Zero landed, and Expedition Zero was the only expedition to have people return.
Expedition 67.
That was Expedition Zero.
I'm pretty sure it's Expedition 67.
You're probably right. You're probably right because I think that
because I remember it being such a weird number.
Okay, yeah, you're probably right. I just probably assumed it was 0, or I remembered it wrong or something. So yeah, either way, so that doesn't matter which expedition it is. I don't think, not right now at least. But this spot was chosen by Lune because this was the only spot where an expedition had survivors that were able to return back to Lumiere, the town. So I thought that was kind of cool and interesting. But it was violent. It is crazy and violent.
Yep. It's like Saving Private
insane.
Ryan, but it's like Saving Private Ryan, like the opening scene of Saving Private Ryan, where it's like kind of shocking, but not as bloody and gross. More magical. Anyway.
Kind of though.
Yeah.
Dano, it looks. I think that you might be correct.
Whoa.
And then Torby said 67. So who's to say? It doesn't matter.
Torby was saying
one of those is correct.
7. I believe is what Torby was saying.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe he was saying 6, 7.
Another thing that I really like about this sequence is that there's a couple of characters that you think are going to be main characters based on the party scene beforehand, and then there's a couple other moments where like the lead of the expedition gets murdered, and then one of Gustav's friends like picks him up and it's like, hey, we gotta go, we gotta fight, we gotta move, and then he like grabs Gustav and starts moving, and then he gets taken down, and then another friend comes up and it's like, Gustav, we gotta go, and then he gets taken down. So it's not just these members are going, it's that every single person that tries to help him to like snap him out of it just is gone.
Yeah, it's insane. It's brutal. It is absolutely brutal. All right, so Gustav wakes up in the Spring Meadows, and it's absolutely okay. We're going to say this a lot. It's an absolutely stunning, gorgeous zone. Lush forest biome, statues, number of rocks, and a scattering of trees. Crates kind of scattered everywhere. Travel is very linear through this section. There's some areas you can run off to the side to pick up some pickups. But the problem is it's not a meadow. It's kind of like a forest canopy area.
I feel like that's not a problem, Matt. I feel like we don't have to worry about it not being a meadow, and it's kind of meadow adjacent. There are trees around meadows, so I believe that it is perfectly fine calling it Spring Meadow. I do not believe we need.
We do not need to die on this hill.
It's a very strange hill to die on, indeed.
So I don't know if you guys are aware of, but if you have a fire extinguisher system in a home, you can't hack into it to turn that on. It's just in case anybody was wondering.
All right. So this area kind of acts as an extended tutorial area.
Dano's very confused. I'm making fun of Matt here because he has a history of highlighting very strange things and having problems with very nitpicky things. This is unrelated to Expedition 33 in any way, shape, or form. This is just me making fun of Matt.
I thought it was a callback, so Moist Critical did a YouTube video about a hazing incident where like it got discovered because someone set off a fire alarm, and I was like, that's a weird place to go, Stormrage. Why are we going there? I don't want to talk about that. So that was
nope, not that one.
Nope. All right, So this area is basically an extended tutorial. We learn about chroma elixirs, which are basically heal all your hit points like outside of combat. You start with one, you get like 2 or 3. I have like 3 now that I'm through this portion of the game. We also have 3 other potions that we carry: a red healing potion, a blue potion that restores action points, and a green res potion. Like, we start with one and we can find more as we go throughout the world. Every time we reach an expedition flag, the elixirs and potions refill. And what are expedition flags? They're basically save points in classic RPG style. They basically are points that you can save, rest, level up, do all sorts of things. So then we encounter our first Neveron. The game teaches you about free aim, which means you can use the action points to shoot the enemies. All the enemies have some sort of weakness point that does a good amount of damage when they are shot out for combat. Go ahead.
Free shots are also a little bit funky because they will always deal damage. They don't deal nearly as much damage as like a full attack, but they don't take up your action that round. So you can like use all of your things and then do a normal attack, and then you're good to go. It takes away your points, but it does not remove that action itself.
Correct. So you basically, if you have like 7 action points in that round, you can use 3 of them to do free aim, do free shots, and then use the remaining 4 for like ability or whatever that you're doing.
Yeah.
So.
Don't typically start with 7 though, at least not earlier in the game. So I think you have a maximum of 9 action points that you can, and whenever you do a base attack, you gain 1 action point. When you do a dodge or like a perfect dodge or a parry, you can gain action points. Certain abilities will let you gain action points. So there are different mechanics to gain action points throughout the game, and like managing your action points is like a big part of the combat system. So using them correctly to make sure that you're able to do the big swings, because you can. The free aim I found to be really interesting. I only really use it if there are weak points, and I don't think everyone has a weak point, or if they do, I haven't found all of them. I've just used it for either flying monsters, because you have to use them on flying monsters because they always dodge your regular attacks. And then
not always, just extremely likely to.
Yes, just most likely. Yeah. I've never hit one with a regular attack. You have one Storm Rage.
Once.
Nice. But there are some enemies with very clear like blue or green balls. Weak points.
Yeah, there's like balls.
Yeah, and sometimes it's on like a shoulder or an elbow or in the middle of their face. And if you hit that with free aim, you can do like 30 or 40% of their hit points in one go. So it's worth using the action point for that. But if you miss the sweet spot, you'll just do like 30 or 40 damage instead, which will be basically a waste of an action point. So it's you have to make the call whether it's the right call or not to use the free aim, the free shot, whatever it is. So,
there's a couple little later. There's like enemies with barrels that you shoot the barrels. It does AOE damage. It's actually pretty sweet.
The mines in the
mines.
Yes, yeah, they're very cool.
Yeah, right. So we dispatch this enemy pretty quickly and continue through the meadow, and then we come up against the wall and face a climbing tutorial, which is basically hit the X button in front of the wall, and you'll climb the wall. It's, there is jumping. There is a bit of like platforming in this game. Like, there's like, so you have like the grapple, which is just like you said, it's like an electric grapple that just is free whenever you have a point. And then like there's some platforming as well. Go ahead.
There's some very serious platforming, actually. There's actually parkour levels, they call them. So they're like,
oh no.
Yes. Yeah. Where you actually have like running puzzles and stuff that you'll find. They're run by the Gestrals, and they're super fun. And I got 2 bathing suits. I'll talk about that later too. Or not, actually not. That'll be next week, actually. So that's a spoiler for next week. I'm gonna talk about that next week.
You also have a free aim as well, like outside of combat, where you can just shoot something if there's something needs shot at for some reason. Like you can use your free aim to
like unlocking paint keys. We'll get to that later.
Sure.
You also do that to engage combat. If you want to, if you engage, you can do like a first strike in combat if you use that ability into it with an enemy.
That's it. Can if you use the shoot ability, it creates a first strike as well.
Yeah, so
No,
there's
it's
the one
R1
that's-
versus
there's the
L2.
one-
We're
There's the
talking about
R1 one
such small things. I think it's more important that we get back to the plot here. We're getting too distracted.
Exactly. We're losing the forest for the trees here at this point. We continue walking through the area and start seeing bodies of the expedition and previous expeditions just kind of resting on spikes. It's kind of creepy. We enter a cave and see bodies piled up and feeding something up above. Like all the blood is going up like a tree root. It's very strange. We have a cut scene and Gustav is a bit overwhelmed as you probably would be. Sits down and considers taking his own life here. He closes his eyes and hears Lune saying, "You do that, we both die." Go ahead. Does anybody want to jump in here? Or are we good?
So I assume that these were the bodies of the expedition.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right.
And what I think is unique about this is that every other time that we've seen death up until this point, it has been because of the rose petals. And I imagine that that's also the main form of death that everybody in this island has seen. So the fact that there are A, actual bodies, and B, some of these are old and they are not, they are like shockingly well preserved to a point where they look like stone rather than human remains.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no like bones. There's just full bodies that have been turned to like this gray granite, but you can still see faces on these people. You can still see like the outline of where their skin would be at. It's not skeletons, it's bodies that have been turned to stone by and large.
So Luna makes the assumption about that it was their chroma that left, that their chroma was stolen or left their bodies, and that left them basically preserved in this manner where they became just like stone husks. That's kind of, I think, the best way to describe it.
All right. So Luna was sitting next to Gustav. Luna is sitting next to Gustav. She survived the initial onslaught. He tells us to get up and get over it. We need to continue for everyone. We're the only ones left. And when one dies, when one falls, we continue, is what the line she uses. Very, I guess it's part of the code of the expeditions.
Yep.
We are quickly attacked by a big Nevron, and we get a little quick tutorial on how to use Lune. She's a magic user. Each of her skills gives her stains, which are basically glowing orbs that can use to power up other spells or other skills. Her gameplay, it's like kind of like the defect in Slay the Spire, and much like the defect, I'm still having trouble wrapping my mind around it because it's like around building how to build her to take a better advantage of you consuming those stains, because a lot of times I'm not sure what the. Go ahead.
I actually think that's a bad comparison because the defect usually wants to take a single energy and then get everything based in that. Lune wants you to constantly be swapping between spells because, like, your ice spell will generate ice, and then your fire will consume ice to deal an additional effect, but then it'll generate fire. And then your lightning spell will consume fire to generate lightning. Then the lightning will be consumed by your earth spell to generate frost. And so it's cyclical rather than like, well, I cast an ice spell, I'm going to keep casting ice spells. They will always generate an element that is outside of the one you would expect from that one. So it is all about shifting your spells back and forth.
So that's kind of like how all of the like characters work in this game as well. So like a lot of the time it's about shifting between different abilities, and as you shift between those abilities, utilizing the previous abilities, skills or mode or whatever it might be to empower something else. So with Gustav, each of his abilities create charge, and once you reach 10 out of 10 charge, you hit overcharge, and you can do a crazy powerful attack with that. So you kind of like build up your charge with Gustav, and with Lune, you're creating these stains to consume with other abilities. You can still do the stuff without them. You don't have to consume, but it's more powerful if you do consume them and you're kind of thoughtful. The game kind of rewards you for being thoughtful about the abilities, is what it basically does.
All right. So we then kill the Nevron, and it drops a Pictos. And what are Pictoses? Pictoses are basically swappable equipments that enhance your abilities. You can hold 3 Pictos per character you have, and you have to, in order to change them from character to character, you have to swap them out. So they're like just items. When you win battles with Pictoses, and after 4 battles, you master the Pictos. Each Pictos has an active and passive effect, I think. I believe that's correct.
No, each Pictos has an effect, and until you have mastered it, you only can use it if you have it equipped. But once you have mastered it, then you can use Lumina to equip that Pictos without having it equipped. So like you have, yes, that's exactly what I learned.
Yes.
It's the exact same reaction I had, Storm Rage, when I figured out how that worked as well. I was like, why is it telling me to click L3 on my thumb in the menu? And then I did, and I was like, whoa, I get it. They're espers. They're espers. Oh, okay, I understand.
Yep, they're 100% espers from Final Fantasy VI. Yep, they are 100%
I saw you
espers
guys
from Final
talking about
Fantasy
this in chat, and you were like, yeah, it took me a while to understand. And I was like, I still don't. I hope I'll figure it out on pod tonight.
Yep.
Yeah, so
you can activate you can activate the Pictos once they're mastered for everybody in the party. Each member has a certain number of each Lumina has a number value of it, and each character has a maximum number of Lumia they can handle, which I think goes up as you level up, I believe.
So there's a couple different ways Lumina goes up. I think the primary way, I think it goes up passively, I believe, but then you also will find Lumina out in the world where as you go through levels. And then when you are at camp, we'll talk about this later, you can then spend that Lumina on different characters to increase the amount of Lumina they have. Yeah.
Right. So the first one you get here is like a dodge Pictos. So basically you equip it after 4 battles. It's like has the ability that you gain AP on a successful dodge. So once you level it up after 4 combats to a Luminos, you can now equip that to everybody, and now everybody, when they dodge an attack, now gets 1 AP. So it builds on that. It's great. I like it a lot. They should at this point we should probably talk about distributing your points as when you level up. We have 5 stats to level up: our vitality, which is our health; our might, which is strength, which modifies our attack power generally; agility, which is our speed. It affects timing in combat, and also apparently affects the number of times you come up in combat depending on your speed.
Correct.
Defense reduces the damage we take. If we're good at dodging parry, it really doesn't matter. Since I'm not, I've been maybe investing a couple points here or there into that. And then there's luck, which affects our critical hit chance. Can criticals deal about 50% more damage? Now for weapons, that effectiveness is determined by our key stats, which ones are basically which ones are filled in. Every weapon is different. Good news, we can level up weapons as well to like at least level 3, like in the beginning. Probably more than that later. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see as we go.
Yeah, and then each weapon.
And also,
go ahead. What were we gonna say?
No, go ahead.
I said
no,
each weapon then has
weapons,
2 of our stats that it is like part of. So like it might have vitality as a B and agility as a C, which are like grades. Like I think they go all the way to S, and then that kind of like the key stat for that weapon, which kind of like gives you. At least for me, it's been kind of a way to level up my characters as this is their key stat. So if like vitality is a key stat for a weapon, like adding to your vitality could also then add to your attack power. So with every X number of vitality, then also boost attack power. Same with agility or defense or luck. I put some stuff initially into vitality because that was stuff, but then since then I added some in might. I'm not really sure the right way to go about it. I've been dumping a lot into agility lately just because speed seems to matter a lot. I haven't done any in defense, and then I've only been putting luck in for Lune because all of her weapons seem to benefit from luck. So, and then luck also does benefit your speed as well. So the luck, I don't know. I don't know if I'm doing it right, to be honest, but I think I am. Although if think I'm doing it wrong for a couple of the characters at least because they seem weaker than they should be. So I'm getting a little worried that I'm doing it all wrong. So I might have to go look at some build guides or something. But yeah, it's there seems to be a little bit of guidance to it, but I still am pretty confused by what is good and bad. So.
And the good news is there's respec tokens which can be found all over the place.
Yeah, and they can be purchased as well. So.
And be purchased as well. We also now at this point learn about preemptive strikes, which is also great, which is the R1 on my controller. I'm not sure what it is on the keyboard. It basically is all the best thing about the combat in this game for this type of RPG. You can see the enemies and you can actively attack them or avoid them as much as possible. Actually, you can stun them a little bit too if you shoot at them. Like I actually figured this out. I remember this because I did this I shot at them in like outside of combat and it stuns them for a second. So you can like kind of move around them if you want to avoid combat.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. But like the stun is very quick. So, but yeah, preemptive strikes is basically you hit R1 when you want to initiate combat, and you're the first actors to go. So we enter a house and make our way through the house to see a fantastic view of the continent. And if you go left, instead of head towards the flag, and then there's a save point expedition flag to the right. But if you go to the left, you can find a mime. Dan, would you like to talk about mimes at this point?
Yeah, so mimes are awesome. So mimes are like basically just optional boss battles, which there are a bunch of these in this game, but mimes are a special one where when you kill a mime, you get different skins for your character. Could be different hairstyle, could be different outfit. They're awesome, but the mimes are super difficult fights. And they have like special abilities. They start with creating a wall with their hands. So like you do very little damage until you can break the wall. So break is an ability that you do in the game. So until you break the wall, you can't actually do a ton of damage to it. And then they have like powers where they like do like and so all of their attacks are clear. So they'll have like a hammer attack that you could just see the outline of it vaguely, or a slap attack where you can just kind of see giant hands pretending to slap you. And so that makes it more difficult to parry and dodge. But if you kill them, then you get a cool thing. But they're completely optional, but they're really funny. And the music is great and the fights are fun. I've come across 3 of them so far. I was able to kill 2 of them. And then one of them was way too powerful. I was in an area that was way under leveled for, and like the regular fights were kind of rough. And the mime was doing like, I currently have like 600 to 900 health for the most part. Some characters lower than that. And it was doing like 4,000 on a single hit. And I was like, it would do like 4 or 5 attacks. Each one of those would do about 3,000. I was like, nope, not supposed to be here yet. So I took a note to come back to the mime in Yellow Harvest later. I was able to clear everything else there, including a chromatic there. I was able to do the chromatic. The chromatic only had 1 attack that would 1-shot me, and the other one would 2-shot me. So as long as I got my dodges and parries down, I could kill that. That was very satisfying. But the mime was, if you missed 1 dodge or 1 parry, the character was dead, and that was just too difficult. So.
All right.
Yeah.
So we'd explore this area a bunch. There's a skipple boss known as a Chromatic Lancer, which I avoided because, hey, that looks like, actually I think Lune in the world dialogue says that looks scary, or something to that effect. We continue along. We find the expedition journal for Expedition 81, and a friendly Nevron that kind of looks like a fat knight, like a guard. I don't know. He's looking for a light. We could probably do something about this later. I haven't figured it out yet. Yeah.
Can't figure it out.
So we kind of like, after we kind of give up, we kind of like enter a dark glowing forest, encounter and run around, and eventually encounter our first boss, Evike? I don't know. Eve Q. There we go. Eveke. There we go. Sure.
Say it with confidence.
Yep, that's all it did.
Eveke. Her attacks are pretty telegraphed. The first time I tried to fight her, I was super tired and was not doing well. When I came back when I was refreshed, it was great. It was easy. It was she spawns a bunch of ads. It's the first boss of the game. It's not hard. Not that hard. Anybody have trouble with this boss?
No.
No.
No, the only thing that I've had trouble with so far is this stupid chromatic troubadour that took me a very long time.
Did you get it
Oh,
though?
you did the troubadour.
I did, yes.
Nice. That was a tough one.
Nice
that was
work.
hard.
That's I also encountered the troubadour and immediately died and left. Reloaded and left.
So chromatic troubadour. Well, I'll talk about it when we get to our next character because the next character did one attack that did 7,000 damage. So
Nice. All right. So we head up the tree, and there's a message written into the tree with the number 33 written in red. It reads, "Took my L to the weird corals. Head north. Look for a door inside a hut." Gustav and Luna have an argument about protocol. Gustav wants to save Mael, but Luna thinks it's a trap because it's against the protocol. Gustav is like, "I'm leaving," and says, "Protocol also states never move solo." Go ahead, Stormrage.
it's also not that it's just against protocol. It's that expedition members are always supposed to sign their names, and this is not a signed message. So
Yes.
it's not from Mael. It's from someone or something else.
All right. So we move our way out of the waters, and when enter the world map, where we can actually have a map, and also the map is massive. Holy crap! There's a lot to this map. There's a lot of stuff in the map, and we can also camp here. We also learn how to camp. It allows us to rest and have discussion with our party members. We can write in our journal back to the kids at home. We can kind of brood a little bit, and we can rest. Yeah, it's great.
It's so great. I got to the camping scene and like my heart like melted in joy because it became very clear what this game was. It was, let's take all of the great things about every RPG made over 30 years, use that, and then also iterate on it. It was like, oh my gosh, what if Final Fantasy games just didn't become generic ARPGs? It is so magical. It's so cool. And then the camp is massive. You have a record player that you'll eventually be able to buy records for and find records to put on there. You get to go write in your journal that you're in, to your apprentices, which is so much fun every time you go to do that. You can have like special time with each of your companions, like spend a time with someone. And then you get like, at one point, if you do it now, Lune will be playing her guitar and you'll be like, it's been a long time since I've seen you play your guitar. I was like, where is she storing this guitar? It doesn't matter. Right. Think about that. Magic.
Hey.
That's where.
Guns magically appear in your hand when you're ready to use them.
It's a fair point. But like the camp is huge. It's great. It's so neat. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna love this game. I'm gonna love this game so much. It's I got very happy with the camping.
The camp area is huge, by the way.
It is huge. Yeah.
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, I assume for other characters, that's kind of been my assumption, is that they're gonna fill up with other stuff.
Yep.
So
exactly. All right, so we move on to the Flying Waters, Dano?
Yes, so we head off to the Flying Waters like we were told to do. Flying Waters might be one of the most interesting biomes I've ever experienced in a video game. Again, absolutely gorgeous, because everything in this game is absolutely gorgeous. No desert zones yet, Matt. I'm super happy about that.
I bet you, hey, you know what? If there is a desert zone, I bet you it's going to be gorgeous.
I know, right? I think
they'll find a way.
So the Flying Waters biome, it's underwater, but it's not underwater. We're not underwater. We're not breathing underwater. We're breathing air and we're walking on the ground as normal. Mm-hmm. We are not swimming, but we are very much underwater. Like there are ships that have sunk and there are bubbles that bubble up from the bottom as if we're underwater, and there are underwater plants and ship mines, but we're breathing air. I don't get it whatsoever. And it's amazing. Like, do either of you understand what's going on in this biome? Because I don't get it, and I love it. I love it so much.
No. I think the reason they did it was because it's cool.
100% is cool. It is so cool. Like, it's like you're basically walking through a kelp forest, but if a kelp forest were just on the ground, but also there are air bubbles for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And there are ships that are flying by. There are giant, clearly aquatic creatures that are
There's
swimming.
a whale above
and
you.
then we're just walking.
There's a whale above you.
Yeah.
Like very clearly a whale swimming above you. It's a whale.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. So we make our way through an underwater wonderland, fighting monsters called demonaires, sure, which are kind of like ghosty things that are holding sea mines as if they were balloons. It's wonderful. I love it so much. If you shoot the sea mine with your free aim, it explodes, does AoE damage. I love that so much. There are other enemies. They don't matter because these guys are the best. They're just so clever and fun. I don't know what to tell you. Eventually we find the hut, and just like we were told, there is a door inside this hut that leads to a manor. That's weird. Don't worry about it. We open the door to the manor and we're transported to a manor, a stunningly beautiful manor, the inside of a beautiful manor. Not at all a manor you would expect to find not underwater in an underwater area. Just like a rich person manor. Like there are like, you know, a grand staircase, fancy sconces, fancy wallpaper, carved wooden bas relief on the walls. Like it's super fancy. Also, we're not the first expedition to make it here. We see a flag for Expedition 52 or something like that. I wrote the wrong expedition down, but we see a flag for a different expedition. And it's awesome and super cool and it's super weird. So we went around the manor, and all the doors are locked. Like they're all closed and they're all locked. And it's like, well, that's not great. Except for one door. Inside that door, we find Mael. She's kind of sitting at a desk working on a Pictos, and she is shocked to see Gustav and even questions if she is real. And we can see that in her eyes that she does not believe he is real. She sort of assumed that she was the last one alive. He runs over, gives her a hug. She can't believe that he's real. But upon smelling him, she goes, "Oh, you smell like you're real, though."
Yep.
And I mean, he has fought his way through awful death, decay, and an underwater and not underwater world. So in his defense, I think it's fair. That is a little bit of a stink on him. So Lune asks Mael how she ended up at the manor, and Mael says she doesn't know. She says she remembers the massacre on the beach and then waking up in the manor with, and before she can tell us with who, a being walks into the room. He's hard to describe. He's almost like an adult-sized marionette, but instead of a face, there's like a hole in his head. Also wearing like a little bit of like a cape cloak situation, but a very eerie person. Mael tells us that this is the curator and that he has been helping her to reinforce her Pictos. She tells us that he doesn't really talk, but that he is friendly and been being helpful. So that's great. He then walks away and Mael officially joins our party. And it's time for us to continue our journey. Only before we leave, the curator is standing in front of the door and demanding that we spar with him. Mael has a little friendly joke banter with him, making us assume this isn't the first time this has happened, that he's been helping her to train. And this is where we learn how to use Mael's ability, and also where we learn how to do jumps in combat. So there are certain enemies that will do like ground attacks that we need to jump, and then we can do like a attack back at them if we jump and then hit the right trigger at the right time. So something else we can do. Then we also know how to do Mael's combat, which is my favorite in the game. It is so much fun to use Mael's combat. It is so clever. It is so...
It's really good.
It's just really, really good. So she switches between 3 different stances: offensive stance, defensive stance, and virtuoso. We can only stay in a stance for 2 turns. Yes, Stormrage?
Which is not what I thought it was. My interpretation, my understanding of the mechanic is each skill you have will shift you into a stance: offensive, defensive, or virtuoso. Yep. If you do an attack or a skill that would then activate that ability that you are already in, it instead turns you stanceless. If you do a basic attack, it swaps stances, but I didn't think you could stay in the same stance for more than 1 turn.
So I think we're saying the same thing in a different way. So if I'm in offensive and then I go to defensive, I'm in that defensive stance. And then if I use another defensive stance, I then go stanceless. So I think we're saying the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes, we are. Okay.
Yep.
So each stance has bonuses and drawbacks. In offensive, we do bonus damage. In defensive, we have better defense. And in Virtuoso, we have much better damage. Different abilities will switch between different stances and can benefit from previous stances. For example, Pierce, which I think is Pierce, but it's spelled French. I'm assuming it's Pierce. It costs 3 AP less if we were in the Virtuoso stance before I use this ability. So it's a high damage attack that switches from Virtuoso to defensive stance and then does a bunch of damage. And then puts us in a defensive stance, which helps us takes 50% less damage. It's really good. After the battle is over, Mael invites the curator to journey with us. We aren't sure if he will join us or not, but I can tell you that, in fact, he does. Spoilers. He will be waiting for us when we return to camp. So we leave the manor the same way we came in, leave the hut. Mael is looking for someone called Noko, who then runs up to us. He looks like a small marionette, but with a paintbrush bristles for hair and then a plain piece of wood where his face should be. It's like a plain piece of wood for a mask almost. Lune is very excited and asks if this is a Gestral. I did not wonder if it was a Gestral because I've never heard of a Gestral before. Oh,
you didn't talk to the kids in town who were dressed like
real
Gestrals?
Life? Yes, in town. Yes, they talk about them.
Fair.
But I'm like, is this a French thing? Like, is this a piece? Like, it's like a French lore thing that I just don't have as like a boring American, or is it like an in-game thing? I don't know. But she was very excited about this. So Mael introduces the team to Noko, and lets us know that he is kind of stupid but kind of sweet. The Gestral are merchants who love a good fight and can be found all over the continent. Everyone assumed they were myths, but here they are. You can buy things from Gestrals, but if you fight and defeat them, then you get access to their rare stock. So each merchant you come across on the continent or in a town or wherever you might be can be fought. And if you defeat it, it's just a one-on-one battle. So you choose which character you want to fight it. And then if you defeat them, then you get access to a rare thing to buy. It might be a weapon, or it might be a picto. Those are the only two I've come across so far. But typically it's worth kind of taking the fight. They're not quite boss level, but they're also a step above like normal mobs you might find in an area. So Lune wants to go to their village, but Gustav is a buzzkill and says, we don't have time. We've got to kill the paintress. Noko chimes in and says that we can't get there anyway because we have to cross the sea. And that's a thing we can't do. The team is excited to learn that there is a way across the sea, and that their village chief can help out. Help us get there. Loco tells us that Glorgra, the chef, Loco's words, not mine, can help. Looks like we are going to the Gestral village after all. Gestral, I keep on pronouncing this incorrectly. Gestral. I'm pretty sure it's Gestral. So we make our way through flying waters. We come across a journal from Expedition 68. It explains that they survived the storm. Initially that they had been thrown off course by the paintress, they claimed, but that they survived and have been thriving. But it looks like the upcoming Nevron looks different. Looks like it's time for a boss battle. Actually, it's a totally avoidable fight. But you can fight a giant Nevron if you want, and if you do, you get a new weapon. So that's fun. We enter a new area with a rest point from Expedition 48. I got incredibly lost here, like super lost. I ran around in circles for 90 minutes. I'm not kidding. I ran around in a circle for 90 minutes because the area is a giant circle. Well, it's actually two circles. So you have the main circle, and then you climb up a cliff face, and there's a second circle, smaller circle. The smaller circle has an optional boss called the Chromatic Troubadour. Super fun, but has a really wonky attack pattern, which took me a few tries to figure out. But it was super fun and totally worth getting lost for. Do you want to talk about this, Storm Rage?
Yeah, so I found a combo for bosses that I imagine is like pretty intrinsic that a lot of people have figured out. So it probably won't be game breaking by any stretch. But if you start off the very first, if you've gotten Lune to enough speed that Lune can go first, and you use the Immolation as the very first skill, which will set the boss on fire. Then with Mael, you'll use her skill, which is unlocked pretty early on, that if that enemy is burning, it automatically swaps her to Virtuoso. Then with Gustav, use an ability called Lightning Mark. And that makes it so that the next person that is attacked will take 150% increased damage. Then, now that Mael is in Virtuoso stance, which is 200% plus the marked, so we're at like 350% extra damage, and her ability of Pierce, which is her biggest attack, it crit and did 7,000 damage, killing this boss in nearly one hit. And it was great, and it's my go-to for any boss battle because it does a bunch of damage. It's very reliable and not too difficult to pull off.
That's awesome. I had not found that. I have pretty milquetoast with my Gustav, actually, so I'll have to look closer at what I have him doing. For sure. Yep.
The lightning pierce is really good. The lightning pierce, because like sometimes it's like even like I even got a Pictos that does a mark occasionally on free aim.
Yep.
So sometimes you get a bonus mark too. So it's great. It's super great.
Yeah, I have all but one of his initial 8 abilities unlocked. So it just must be something I don't use very often with him. I don't. So yeah. I'll have to think about using that. Yeah, I won't talk about that yet because that would be spoilers for next week. So finally, I backtracked to the flag and turned right instead of left. I had backtracked before and then left the area and then came back and cleared everything all over again and then still couldn't figure out where I was supposed to go and left and then came back again and was like, oh, I can go to the right. And I went to the right and it was right there and I was like, boy, I suck. And so we turn right instead of going left and find a beautiful field of flowers under the water because everything is under the water, but not under the water. It's amazing. I don't know if I'm dumb. I don't care. It's amazing. So we find flowers. We get sad because they're red flowers. We think about Sophie. Here's some sad music. Remember our Logan's Run girlfriend? Pick one and oopsie poopie. That's a Nevron's flowers, and he is mad that we picked the flower. Time for a real boss battle. So we fight a Nevron called Go Blue, and before Gustav can make the killing blow, Lune stops him and says that he looks peaceful as long as we don't touch the flowers. Mael goes up to touch it, and it runs away. Gustav gets spooked and starts to shoot at it, and then freaks out at Mael. She tells him that it felt somewhat familiar to her somehow, and then Lune scolds him and says that we won't figure out anything if we shoot everything that moves, which, fair. Mael sees some red trees and realizes that we must be close to the Gestral village, and on we go. Cue a very confusing cutscene that is all in black and white, and it seems to be some sort of battle. There's what appear to be like flames in the background. And then there's a man and a woman and it looks like they're fighting, but maybe they aren't, not entirely certain. Then we smash cut to Mael screaming at the paintress, but instead of the paintress being far away, Mael's like super up close and personal. I don't get it, but I don't think we're supposed to get it right now. Back at camp, Gustav and Mael have a heart-to-heart about, and this is kind of what Stormred said earlier, they have a heart-to-heart about how the people that have died on the continent, how death is very different here than it is back in Lumiere, where with the Gommage, it's a very like, almost like pretty death. And that's something that Gustav says is violent in its own way because it makes us complacent. But they were both very surprised at like how visceral death is on the continent, how violent it truly is. Mael tells Gustav that she's been having nightmares, and Gustav says that he's been having them as well. Gustav makes Mael promise that if they see the old man again, that she will run, and she makes him promise the same thing. He happily agrees and says he is going to run as soon as he sees a single strand of white hair. And then, surprise, surprise, the curator did join us and is waiting for us in camp. Unfortunately, he does not draw a beast, a murloc, and a dragon from our deck, but he does allow us to upgrade weapons and Lumina. So, thanks, curator. And that's the end of this week. I've only been going for an hour and
Yay.
15 so far.
Oh my god.
Oh dear.
All right, let's get into the tea with Finley.
Hello, old friend. Let's meet for tea after the match, shall we?
Slurp, slurp, slurp.
Matt, do you have anything to report?
No, I just played the main game and found a couple things, but yeah, I got nothing. Storm Rage.
I intended to side quest and I accidentally found the main quest. The thing that Dano was talking about earlier, where he was like, I couldn't find it. I saw this offshoot and I was like, okay, well, the main quest can't possibly be through here. And then it was. And I did that like 4 different times. I kept looking for a side quest, stumbled upon the main quest and went, well, I guess this is what I'm doing.
I love that you're finally trying to side quest and you're just like oopsieing away. You're oopsieing into the main quest.
Yeah.
It does feel very 50-50 sometimes where you're like,
Right.
I don't want to go to the main quest yet. I want to make sure I go because like there's a bunch of cool stuff to find on the offshoots. Like you find bonuses to your potions, you find the Lumina, you find weapons. So I want to go and find those, but like you will be like, oh no, I have to go back now after the boss fight. I have to go back.
Yep.
All right, so
Dano, what about you?
I tried very hard to find everything and did a bunch of backtracking to find as much as I could. So here we go. In Spring Meadows, I found Jar. Jar is the white Nevron that we first talked to, kind of. He's the one that wants to light his lantern. I couldn't figure out how to light his lantern. I went pretty far into the game. Well, not too far, obviously, yet, but went farther than we are right now, and then have returned and went back to the very beginning starting area. Cannot figure out how to light his lantern. I even found more jars out in the world. It's like, oh, this must be it. I must kill one of these. And then when I kill one of these, I can bring the light back to it. Nope, that also wasn't it. So I haven't figured this out yet. I'm going to go back, though, because I really want to figure it out. I fought a mime in this area that gave me an outfit for Gustav where he's wearing a jaunty red beret and found a mime. A mime is... Oh, yeah, no, that's right. So, fought the mime. It gave me an outfit for Gustav where he's wearing a red hat and a white striped shirt with a baguette tied to his back with a picnic blanket.
This game is so insanely French.
Yes. It's incredible. I've also, yes, so it's great. So, you have a baguette tied to your back and you're wearing a jaunty red beret. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I love it. It's what I wear on Gustav all the time, even though I found an old-timey bathing suit for him. It's 50-50. It's hard to know which is better. They're both fantastic. I also fought the chromatic Lancelier. It took me at least 20 tries. Not kidding. It must have been 20. It was the first like actual boss I found, like bonus boss. And it was so hard, but so satisfying once I killed it. And I had an upgrade to one of my weapons, which was super cool. In Flying Waters, I found a giant Nevron called a Bergen. It had like super long limbs. It was very fun, and it just seemed super random. But when I was looking up the show notes for this, it gave me a small Bergen. It gave me a Bergen skin, which I knew I needed, and I couldn't figure out how to get it. So I need to give the Bergen skin to the small version that I found. It's in a different area by itself, and it's a little version of this guy. And it's like, I want to be big. I want to be able to see the paintress. I need to eat some skin. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to get you some skin. But I didn't know that I already had the skin, and I think have automatically given him the skin. I'm not sure. So then I went running around for at least an hour trying, because there's another one of these, that giant guy that you can see in Flying Waters in the distance, That's the version. So you can fight a version of that if you go like hang a right pretty early on entering the zone. It's like a small pathway.
Oh, I did fight that dude.
Yeah. So if you fight that guy, he gives you
him.
this thing you need to give to another one of these, like they're basically white Nevrons that are friendly Nevrons. And there are a number of these throughout the game. But
I haven't found that one yet.
Yeah, so I found this one, but I guess I have to go back to him now. I have no idea. I'm gonna do that after we're done with this recording. I'm super interested and also slightly annoyed because I feel like I'm crazy. So I don't remember giving him the thing, but I must have. I have no idea. Killed the chromatic troubadour, but not as cleanly as Storm Rage did. Killed another mime, which gave me a short haircut for Mael, and then I also chatted with the the white guy with the mine that I had to give the mine to. So there's another one of those that you can find. You can chat with him, and he's like, "I need a mine," and so then you go find the mine firm and you return it to. That's why I knew that like you don't have to go too far for these things. I'm pretty sure, but I can't find the one for Jar, and I accidentally found the one for the other guy. So it's I don't know. It's all a big thing, but that's what I did this week. That wasn't part of the main story, I guess.
Taste my grilled cheese.
Munch.
I got the first good. This game's pretty. Game pretty. Very pretty. Just pretty. Game's pretty. That's all I can say. Dan, what's the not so good?
So the not so good was my impression of Gustav and Mael in the early game was that they were similar ages. Because, like, you don't really realize how young she looks because you don't have cutscenes with her yet. So she just looked like she was, just kind of more of a petite woman. But then as, like, the game progresses, you see cutscenes. She's obviously 16 years old. She's very young. So it was kind of when I got to the scene where Gustav is like, as your guardian, I was like, as your what? I was like, this is super Folger's Christmas commercial and a little bit of Woody Allen thrown in. I was like, game, what are you doing to me here? You are my Christmas present. It was all very strange. And then as the game progressed and as you actually get to know these two characters, they're very much brother and sister, like older brother, younger sister, guardian situation where the parents are dead, So it's not at all like my first impression of their relationship. But my first impression was really weird.
That is a bit of a weird impression there.
Because it's kind of like, when you first meet her, she's like, I don't know why you and Sophie stopped dating. And you're like, oh, this is one of those things where it's like, oh, so why did you and Sophie stop dating, and why have you not dated me? So I kind of like got the wrong impression off of that kind of.
Yeah.
And so then that kind of, and then you have like a race, which was a brother and sister race, but I thought it was like a flirty race. And so I was just misreading what the game was telling me. Since then, I'm realizing it was probably me misreading, but it was very Folger's Christmas commercial for a little bit there. What's our best good, Storm Rage?
I love the combat for Lune. One of my biggest gripes with JRPGs is often that the solution for mages is get new spell, spam new spell forever and ever and ever, because it usually just does more damage than the other versions of that spell. Sometimes you might get some elemental things going on where like you use water against fire and things of that nature. But Lune is such a flow state of like, well, I did this so I could do this. I have this elemental or this stain, so now I want to enhance this one. Or I need to get this elemental so that way next turn I can use the stained effect here. And the amount of math involved in that, it makes my brain go burr in the best possible way.
It's very cool. I'm also not great at it though either. I think it's more of a build problem though.
Yeah.
I think because like you have so many options with her, like
so
many, and like just unlocking the right things and then equipping the right things. I feel like I just did a bad job of that, and also that I'm not good enough to do that correctly. So I do think I'm going to go out there and find a build guide for her, I believe, because I want to really enjoy the combat like as best as possible. But I'm also worried that because Maxroll is like an ARPG website and they have build guides. And if Maxroll has a build guide, that means it is min-maxed to heck. And I'm worried about that. I don't want to break the game, but I don't want to feel like I'm underpowered because I'm doing a bad job with it. That makes sense. So I'm struggling with it right now and how I want to play it and that kind of stuff. So
I would tend to lean away and just see what you could figure out, because this game's pretty short for a JRPG, for like an RPG standard, and like there's only 25 hours, so I think that knowing you, Dano, you'll probably go through and do a New Game Plus before the rest of us finish the game.
I thought about
and I think
it.
on that playthrough. Yeah, I know. I know you, Dano.
I mean, you can catch up to us. Like, you can finish the game and then catch up to the show with the New Game Plus.
I know. I thought about it. I did get way behind this. I did spend at least 3 hours backtracking this week trying to figure out those white Nevrons and how to get them, though. So I have been like really going off track and trying to just find all the little nooks and crannies in the continent. So I'm trying to spend my time doing other things as opposed to like racing through and then New Game Plusing. So we'll see how it actually goes.
He asks each traveler 3 questions. 3 questions.
3, that's a magic number.
I will ask myself 3 questions.
Hey, Matt, what are you liking so far?
The story just punches you right in the gut, like right off the bat. Like, just here, take this, and it's a lot. Conflict set early between the continuing living and being aware of the grammage, knowing how much time you have left before you turn into petals. I just love it. It's just like ultimate, like, terrible fantasy setting that, like, it's like we have to deal with. It's great. I love it. Stormrage, what are you liking so far?
I still can't believe that's how the game starts. It's just an immediate the gamage itself is a beautiful thing, and I was like, great, gut punch over, and then it hits you a second time as you drop your guard, and it's like all those people that you just met, all dead, and the like left right of that is so good, and then just seeing all the different bodies and the way that the expedition is simply destroyed, because like the last thing that your sister says to you is you're going into a murder scene, you're going to die, and then you land and you're like, oh, she was super right. There is no point in fighting this. You launched, and then everybody's dead within seconds. Matt?
I made the mistake early on of, like, when we get to the parties, to the fair scene, when we meet our two best friends, who I'm just going to call Biggs and Wedge because that's about as long as they last in this game. Like, we're like, because like, we're like, you're talking, you're sharing bottles of wine, and then they're immediately dead right away. And it's just like, well, like, I made the mistake of like, hey, I really like that character. I wonder if they're interesting.
Nope.
They might be.
Might have been.
They might have been.
Dano, what are you liking?
The combat is so fun, and I am not very good at it. Not at all, but you can just restart endlessly. So when your characters all die, it says, do you want to restart? And I hit yes. Do you want to restart? Yes. Do you want to restart? Yes. It just rewards my stubbornness in just the best way possible, because it's like I will bang if I think I'm doing enough damage to kill something, and that most of its abilities don't one-shot me, or some of them don't. I will bang my head against the wall until I can dodge and parry everything, and then just gum them down if I have to.
I don't know if we specifically talked about that, but when you die, it doesn't reset to like a checkpoint. It says, do you want to go to the start of this fight again? And because, again, you're in this like dodge parry equals a 100% clear, it's so rewarding to do that. There was a fight that was just a random encounter, but I accidentally started it when all my characters were at like 50 health. So a single shot from anything killed me. And I had to do that fight like 10 times just to avoid and get a perfect fight. And it's so cool to just immediately get you died, go back to the beginning. I love it, and it's a great way to reward players who begin to understand the flow of the combat.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. I love it. I love that you can just force your way through tough fights through sheer stubbornness. Like, I will figure this out.
Yeah.
I know I can parry and dodge my way through this, and it's fantastic. What are you struggling with, Matt?
The combat timing in general. There's a lot of there's some like serious wind-ups and warm-ups into attacks, and then there's like no time. There's like a real quick attack where it's like, oh, it happened, and where the camera changes too in some of the attacks. It's difficult to keep up with. There's also like for some of them, there's even just audio cues that tell you when you need to parry or dodge. Like the lightning guys that summon lightning, it's like you can't tell when the lightning's coming down, but you can hear it in your headphones that it's starting to come down. So that's when you dodge. It's great. Yeah, and also like multiple strikes, I'm having trouble with because I just haven't got the timing down yet. Storm Rage, what are you struggling with?
I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if what I'm doing is main plot or side plot or some combination. Like, Dano, you mentioned the big boss, and I was like, oh, that's a part of the game, and I didn't know that was an optional boss. And then everybody's been talking about mimes, and I haven't seen a single mime, and I've been looking for mimes. So I never know what's main or side, because everything, at the very least in the first act, is very much like, you'll find it. Okay, but there's no mini-map, there's no marker, there's no way to just, like, go. You're in the world, and you need to figure it out, so good luck.
Can we talk about the no mini-map for a second?
Oh, I'm talking about that I'm talking about that on my third one.
Okay. We'll wait then. Okay. Yeah.
Dano, what are you struggling with?
I'm not, kind of similar to what you have there, Storm Rage. I'm not sure what things are find now things and what things are find later things. Like, and that I find to be very frustrating, because like if it's a find now thing, I will spend an hour running in circles till I find the thing. But if it's a find later thing, then I don't have to find, so I don't need to spend that hour looking for the find now thing. And so especially with some of these, the white Nevrons, the painted Nevrons, I think the painted Nevrons, I don't know how long you are supposed to wait to find those things. My impression is they're supposed to be now adjacent, but not maybe now immediate. I don't honestly know. I think so. Honestly, so the two I found so far, so I found 3 of the painted Nevrons. Now thinking back on it, there's Jar, which is the first one, and that's one asking for your light. And I had not found anything for that one that I'm aware of yet. The second one is the one with the balloon mine. I found that one almost, it was like the next scene over, like the next area. I found that and was able to return right back to it. And then the third one, I actually found the skin before finding the thing that needed the skin. So maybe it is an immediate thing. So then where is Jar's thing at? So I don't know.
It'd have to be in
but
the
anyway,
next area,
so
right?
I do believe that they are, as I'm talking through this right now, like live on pod, I think they're kind of find now things, maybe. I don't know. I have no idea. Torby said they were kind of find now things, sort of. I did. So here's what I did. A word to the wise: don't look up anything in this game. I looked up a merchant because I wanted to know if the named merchant was the same merchant I had found earlier. They had different things for sale, but maybe it's a traveling merchant who travels the continent and then in different locations sells different things. I wanted to know that. So I Googled that merchant's name, went to Fextra Life, found the merchant, saw that it just sold the 2 things that were there. And then I scrolled down my eyes went down just because that's what you do when you read, and comments are enabled, and someone just was writing major spoilers in the comments. Not for any reason, just to spoil the game. So don't Google anything. Like, don't Google anything.
I know a few things. I know that this game, like, is narratively keeps you guessing. I don't know in what way. And I know that they're, like, the ending is interesting and cuts in some direction. And whenever there is a game whose ending is, like, extremely narrative and non-linear, like, I am guessing that there's, like, some sort of major twist or major reveal at the end. I have no idea, but it feels like that kind of game. People love to spoil that kind of game immediately, and I am, thanks to Dato's warning, doing my best to avoid any sort of talk. And if you go into the Squelch Discord about Expedition 33, it's just black boxes, as people have put behind spoiler warnings. So I looked in, and it was Torby and Hat and Dano, and I could read like 5 words between, I don't know, 1,000 of them.
And I was like, I even thought to myself, well, there's no way I can get a spoiler just searching to see what this merchant sells. I was like, certainly not. There's no way there would be, it's just a merchant and it's goods, right? How can this random merchant on the continent? Nope. Comments. First of all, why are there comments enabled? Why would you need comments on that? In what world do you need comments in a guide like that? And second of all, why would you what joy? You don't even know the people.
Yeah.
You're just like, it's like unscrewing the salt cap at a restaurant and leaving. It's just cruelty for cruel. Like, I'm going to ruin somebody's day that I don't know. I will never know if it ruined someone's day, but I'm going to get joy out of potentially ruining someone's day. What's wrong with you? Like, what's wrong with you? Anyway, so that's surprised. That's struggle. Maybe struggle. What surprised you, Matt?
How much so I initially was like, why is there no mini map? I need a mini map. This is terrible. And then I realized, wait a minute. This is going to ruin immersion. I'm in a mystery weird island with so many surreal environments, and making a map would just kind of just ruin that for me. Like, it just would just be like, if I had a map, it would be like, then it's just a normal game. I can't explore. I just wouldn't just stumble onto things. This is amazing. I love this. Storm Rage, what surprised you?
I am surprised at how much I like the combat. I love a good, solid JRPG style combat. But one thing that Final Fantasy started to do in later games that I despise, and it's why I don't want to play any of the later Final Fantasy games, is that there's like this live action element to it where you are hitting buttons in real time and there's not that straight, okay, I can just sit on this screen and do nothing for an hour and walk away and nothing will happen. And so when they added in QuickTime elements, I thought I was going to hate that. Turns out it's just a more interesting way to engage in that. And I am a huge fan, big fan. I also was really worried when they were like, use a controller for this. Controller's better. And it's just great. It's just a really solid combat that is engaging so frequently. Dano, what about you?
Great googly moogly, they Logan's runned into flowers. I was like, oh, it's like a Logan's Run thing. Oh my gosh, they're flowers. My mind blew. I was like shocked. I'd picked up it was a Logan's Run situation because when they talked about it and then the number and stuff. I was like, okay, I get it. And then it happens and it was so beautiful and sad and awful and really amazing. Yeah, just truly an amazing start to the game. And then not only did they get Logan's Run into flowers, but then you land and I sort of assumed that we would have like kind of a Final Fantasy VI party size situation where we're going to have 20 people we get to choose from. We have this giant expedition. And so we're going to pick and choose which expeditioners we want to bring on like with us, different places. Maybe we get separated to collect them or something. And then we land and then just boom, all dead. And the hero wasn't a hero. He was a person who reacted like a person in a terrible situation. It was so great. So the entire beginning of the game, from turning into flowers to just being absolutely destroyed by a Jedi, was shocking and amazing. I was sitting here on my computer with my headphones on and just blown away. So great.
You want to buy some death sticks?
You don't want to sell me death sticks.
I don't want to sell you death sticks.
You want to go home and rethink your life.
I want to go home and rethink my life.
Storm Rage, sell the game to a friend.
I didn't realize that I needed an RPG that was delightfully French, but turns out I sure did.
How about you, Matt?
I have a soft spot for French epic melodrama, and this game delivers.
I've never watched a French epic melodrama.
Have you seen Les Mis?
Oh, well, I mean, that's
an American melodrama set in France.
Yeah. No, it's Hugo. It's Victor Hugo.
So the book is different than the musical, but there is a fairly faithful adaptation on PBS if you want to be sad all the time.
Yes.
So
yeah, that is if there is one core of my concern about this, and I know that Dano hasn't sold this yet, it is that I know very few French philosophers, and I know very few like French stories, but all the ones that I know are deeply depressing. So I am not expecting a positive outcome in this game. I am imagining it's going to be various levels of terrible.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
the
the
impression I'm getting as well. And I mean, even the music, even the battle music is like just sort of soft and sad. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Just like the music going around.
I have the soundtrack, been having the soundtrack on repeat in my headphones all week.
Yeah.
It's been great.
I liked it on Tidal as well. I saved it to my favorites. I'm going to listen to it at work tomorrow. For me, in the words of Drimsdale, gosh, this is an I need to stop now game. Because you just want to keep playing. It's like you just don't want to put it down. It's so good. All right, that's it for this week. Next week, we eat a baguette, wear a beret, and become mimes in Clair Mimes in Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Oh, that's it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks to our pace for patronizing us. I forgot. You can find links to our Discord and content info in our link tree in the description of the episode.
And Clair Obscur is a game, and games are meant to entrer amusant.
Yeah. And don't forget, when one falls, we continue. Baby.
The end of the show. Everybody bye!
Dano, I really liked how genuinely surprised you got that you had more things to say as you were waiting for someone or something to step in, and it's just you.
It's a very long next week. I need to fix that. I made that too long.
No, I love it.
What a game.
Guys, we need to cut down our episodes again. We need to talk less. We need to get. I am worried that this is going to be nothing but 2-hour episodes.
Do we need to talk less or play less so we don't have to cram as much into the episodes?
I don't know. I think the time was fine because it was like 4.5 hours for me.
Oh, the time playing? Yeah, I'm talking about the time talking. We're at 1 hour and 45 minutes right now. Which is long. That's a long episode. That cost us money too, by the way, because we go over time on our hosting fees. So, so we can.
Well, there's
play
going to
less
be. Is there going to
as well?
Well, there's going to be less mechanics to actually explain, though, right?
Yeah.
Next week, so it's just going to be more story stuff, maybe. I don't know.
We'll see. In classic Squelch fashion, I think the best way is to keep continuing on and fixing it eventually.
Or not. Or not is also always an option.
Or we just keep talking about, like, maybe we should do this, and then we never do.
That is Squelch right there. We probably should just tighten up what we're talking, though. But it feels like there's so much to talk about. I don't know. It's hard to know what to do.
I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Or not. And just have 2 episodes.
Or not. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Dano, I also really like how many times you made Logan's run jokes throughout this episode. It wasn't just once or twice. It was several times, relying on the fact that hopefully everybody had seen this.
I figure that a good chunk of our audience is probably old like I am. So, or as I assume they are. I don't know. Maybe they're not. If you're not, here's the thing. If you haven't seen Logan's Run, go watch Logan's Run. It's fantastic. Mm-hmm. The first time I watched Logan's Run, I watched it on like network TV. And for whatever reason, I thought it was over at like the halfway mark. And so I thought it was just the darkest, most depressing movie I've ever seen. And then it turns out there was still like half a movie left. And I didn't realize that till like 10 years later. So definitely encourage you to go watch this movie. I like it. It's great. So
when do you think this movie was released?
Logan's Run?
Yeah.
77.
Hot dang, Dano, 76. Good job.
I like old classic sci-fi movies though. They're so good. Like, and they're so they're not trying to like be more than what they are, which is just like, we're going to tell a story and it's going to be kind of cheesy, but it's also going to be great. So yeah, it's okay. Should we call it there at
Thanks, friends.
5 hours and
Yeah.
10 minutes?
Yep,
I
that sounds
think
about
so.
right.
All right. Thanks
Goodbye.
everyone. We'll talk at you again next week.
Bye. Au revoir.